My name is James, and in this video, I'm going to be putting bolt.new head to head with Replit to see which one can create a better app faster with less errors. I create apps using AI, and these are two AI tools that I've recently been using. Now, to be honest, I've been using Bolt a lot more than I've been using Replit, and there's a couple of reasons for that, but they're both really good. And I wanted to do in this video is give them both exactly the same prompt and see what they do with that. We're going to start off with Bolt, and we're going to give it this prompt, which is to create a to-do list for us. It needs to create, it has to have a task creation. It has to be able to edit, delete function. There must be tracking, categorization, priority settings. It must be simple with a minimalistic design, muted colors, responsive layout. We're going to give Replit the exact same task. Now, Replit works a little bit differently, where Replit will try and ask us for additional functionality. We're not going to do that. We're going to start off with Bolt though, and we're going to give it this task, and we're just going to hit enter. Bolt is actually going to go and create all the functionality and everything that we need for this inside of Bolt, and it's going to show us what it looks like. So let's see how well it does on its first go. So what we can see here is it's actually creating all the code as it's going. So we can actually see every single page that it's created. It's installed all the dependencies that we need. So it's created the initial files, and then it's gone and installed all the dependencies. And now it's going to just creating all the additional pages that it needs to actually get this app working. So while this is building, what I can say is that I've actually been using Bolt quite a lot, because I create tools and web applications, iOS applications, Android apps, using AI completely to do that. When I'm building web applications, I find it best for me to actually start off in Bolt and then to move to other software. But we can see that Bolt has actually completed the task for us. We've got a task manager app. We've got all the tasks that we can see over here, and let's actually see if it works. So what needs to be done? I need to edit. We're gonna give it a high priority, and we're gonna give it the tag of YouTube. It does the tags quite nicely. And let's see, we add the task. Okay, great. So we can see that it's added a task. It's got one pending task, one high priority task, and the task is below there. Let's add another one to see if the high priority task actually works properly. Task 2. We're gonna make this a low priority, and we're gonna give this no tag. Great, so we can see this is working really nicely. It's given us quite a nice, very simple user interface. We can see that it's given us one high priority, 2 pending, and it's given us 0 completed. So let's complete some of these tasks. Great, this works really well. So Bolt has done this really well, and it's obviously very simple and has not much functionality to it. But let's go to Replit and see how Replit does with exactly the same prompt. So I've only recently started using Replit, and I have found it really good in the way that it allows you to build the whole app, and it sort of guides you through that process more than I've seen other applications that do the same thing. How they work, they don't sort of guide you through and ask you the questions all the time. So here is an example of that, where it's taken my prompt and then it's gone and said, well, I've got additional features that I could add to this. Would you like me to go and add them? Would you like me to implement task search functionality, sorting, create an analytics dashboard? Now we're going to leave it off for this task because we just wanted to create the initial prototype so we can compare that to what Bolt has done. Generally, when I'm building apps, I use a second program called Cursor AI. And what I found is when you download the code from Bolt, you can put it into Cursor, and you can basically immediately get it to work because of how it's structured. And then you can go and build additional functionality on that. You can connect your APIs, and then I always use Firebase to deploy my apps. So I can deploy to Firebase. I can add login using Google or any of the others. I can also just have login using username and password. I've created a couple of apps that are live that you can go and check out. I will put the links in the description for that. And what I have found that using Replit, I can't easily recreate the same experience for myself. So when I go download the code from Replit, there's a lot of other things I need to do, like building the database, which we can see that it's doing right now. It's actually configuring a database for the app, and it's running all the code to build that database. If I was looking to deploy this app within Replit, so using Replit to deploy my app, I would say Replit is a really, really good way to do that, because it just guides you through the development process in a way that the other AIs just don't do. If you're willing to stay within Replit and deploy through Replit, you can build apps really, really quickly and deploy them really, really quickly using AI completely. Whereas on my build, on the other hand, I first build it in Bolt, for example. I get an initial prototype with all the pages I need with no actual functionality. I take that out, I put it into Cursor, and then I put all the functionality in using Cursor and then deploy to Firebase. So we can see that Replit has actually completed this for us. It's asked us, is the application loading, and showing the task dashboard. So we can say yes, it is. But before we do that, let's actually test. This is straight out without doing any additional work. Let's see if this has been able to complete the task. So we can add a task. You can see it's given us quite a nice task, new task menu here. We will give it the same task. And what we can see is that we can save the task, and it gives us quite a nice user interface for it. I would say that this user interface probably isn't as nice as what Bolt gave us initially. This is quite a nice looking user interface, is quite pleasing and easy to navigate. This one may be a little bit more simple and doesn't maybe have all that functionality that we initially asked for, but Replit does guide you through that. So if we come to Bolt, we can see that it's given us exactly what we wanted, and it sort of told us, here we go, here's what you want, the end. Where in Replit, it asks us, is the application loaded properly? We can say yes. Now it's going to start guiding you through the process of maybe adding more functionality, or maybe checking what else it should have done and guiding you through all of that. What I've also found with Replit, it's very good at determining from your answers what it needs to do now and what it can hold for later. For example, I was building an app. There was a slight problem in that app, but I wasn't dealing with that problem yet. So say, for example, edit button and the delete button on this weren't working. For example, Replit agent was asking me about the edit button, and in the same prompt, I mentioned that the delete button wasn't working as well. Went on to first fix the edit button. It ignored my second comment about the delete button not working and just carried on the conversation with regard to the edit button. Once the edit button started working, and I said, yes, the edit button is working, it immediately said to me, well, now let's move on to fixing the delete button, and then went on to go fix the delete button. So this is really good, guiding you through the process to make sure that you get everything that you need to get done fixed, but in a way that is sequential and not just giving it too much information. It just stores that information and then goes and fixes one problem at a time, which is really useful, especially when you're dealing with AIs for developing apps, because they can often get confused about what you're asking if you ask too many things at once. And this is really good at doing that. So it's asked us if we can create a new task and verify it works without any console errors. We can verify yes, it works. And now it's going to walk us through a little bit more. If we compare these two, I would say that Bolt's initial build is much cleaner. It's much nicer. It's visually appealing. Everything seems to work. And if we wanted to go and add additional functionality in there, we could go and do that now, but it's not going to walk us through adding additional functionality. I will make videos on both of these tools individually and walk you through much more complex tasks that you can do with them and how to actually take the code out so you can deploy them to, say, Firebase, which is what I use, very easily and very quickly. Just in a matter of days, you can have a prototype of your big idea or the thing that you need or the application that you need for your business or for your work, so it'll make your life easier. I have other videos on my channel where I show you how I have built other applications and I've integrated AI into those. So if you are interested in learning how to do this yourself, hit that subscribe button and follow along with all my videos as I make everything from the website to the application, iOS application, Android application, and you can follow along with all of that.